Well, hello. Welcome to the next fitness thing. Today is a very special walk class, which is completely off schedule, but that's okay because we are here, we are ready to walk, and we're going to have some fun today. Because today, I'm going to teach you a little bit more about what it's like to work in the schools in 2024. If you are someone who maybe is a retired teacher, or you are somebody who maybe worked as a teacher before and not necessarily in the schools post-COVID, I promise you, you have absolutely no idea what it's like to work in the schools nowadays because life is just completely different. And instead of sitting here and complaining and telling you about the woes of being in the school system, which I will be honest with you, I absolutely love being an educator. So I do not want you to take this as like a negative in any way. I just want to make light of the situation because one of the things that we do as educators is we have ways of making it fun because that's how we know we are not only able to be our best selves for us, but we can be our best selves for the kids that we serve. Now, one of the biggest things that I want to tell you about what I do is I am a speech and language pathologist. So I work mainly with kids who are in special education. I am somebody who helps them communicate, helps them understand the content in their classroom. I am not somebody who just fixes R's and S's and stutters. I am somebody who is making sure that they understand what is happening in their world and so that they can become independent communicators themselves. So that's just a quick soapbox kind of definition of what I do as a speech and language pathologist. So for today, I thought it would be fun to show you some memes that really resonate with me in this more fun, let's just laugh about it kind of way. And hopefully it gives you some insight into what my world is about 40 hours a week. Okay, so here's the first one. When a student finally says rabbit instead of wabbit. I mean, that's like the common thing that you would typically expect me to be doing. And I will tell you guys, I hate working on R's. It is the hardest sound to teach a kid how to pronounce. You cannot say, oh, touch your tongue to your teeth, or, put your tongue behind your front teeth or between your teeth, or move your lips in this direction. Your tongue for the R sound, in case you would like to know, has to be in the middle of your mouth, not touching anything, but it has to be pulled back. It has to be in a tight position, and you have to make sure that you are tensed when you are producing that sound to create that that you need to create for an R. I am not a fan of working on it. It is my least favorite sound, and because I typically work with Spanish-speaking bilingual students who then have even more difficulty with an R sound, an English R, I should say, it is not my cup of tea. So that is probably one of the most common things that a lot of people would assume is what I do all day long, but it's really not. That's probably about maybe 5% of what I do during the day. Okay, now another thing I want to tell you is somehow in my school I have become the most popular person because kids think that when they come with me they get to just play the whole time. So I will walk down the hallway and everybody's like, "Oh, can you pull me today? Can you come see me? When you going to see me today?" That's what I get all day long at school. And if I will even go into a classroom or go to a classroom and, get ready to pick up the students that I see, and like 5 or 10 other kids in the class want to be like, "Oh, pick me." It's it's hard because you're not able to say why you're picking up the kids you're picking up. We're just picking them up. Kids go out for different things all day long, but everybody just, it seems like, if it's OT, like occupational therapy services, speech services, I mean, every kid just they want to come with you because it's like a free ticket out of class. So this meme completely resonates with anybody in an elementary school. All right. So, do you ever have certain words that always autocorrect when you're texting and it's so annoying? This meme is exactly what SLPs go through when we are texting each other. Artic is a short form of the word articulation, which is something that we as SLPs talk about all the time. It's the way kids pronounce their words, and we always talk about it by saying artic. Well, when you are texting the word artic, it always self-corrects to Arctic. So it's something that I think we all deal with. And it's funny how even as many times as I've had to correct it in my phone, it has not learned to re-auto correct, if that makes sense. But anyway, this is something that I will say only SLPs would really understand. But today you're getting a lesson in what life is like as an SLP, because that's what I had available and on hand for today's class. I forgot to mention that all of these memes are coming from the blog Putting Words in Your Mouth, which is another speech pathologist. I will make sure that her website is linked in the description box, and I sincerely thank you for allowing us to use these memes for today's class. Okay, this next one I think not only applies to SLPs, but probably most people in any workplace, not even just in education. Do you ever have those meetings that you go to and you're like, did this really have to be something we had to have a meeting about? I know I get a lot of this easily could have been an email. Well, we get a lot of meetings where we go as SLPs and it's all about the curriculum, which is important. Don't get me wrong. We absolutely work on that. But things that are very directly related to what teachers have to do. And what we do is we take that curriculum and find ways to adapt it and simplify it so that our kids can understand it. So a lot of the content that happens in faculty meetings don't really apply to us. Well, that's what really resonates with me in this one, but I'm sure there's been plenty of meetings that you've been to in your life in the workplace that probably would be very similar. This next one is fun. We have typically a typical SLP, speech language pathologist caseload would have anywhere between 50 to 60 students if you're in like a what we call a full inclusion or regular elementary school. I would say preschool probably has maybe around anywhere between 30 and 40, and then in the secondary level, like in middle and high school, it's probably going to be a little bit more because you're not seeing the kids as often. Well, the best part about this is, and I always tell, I'm the team lead for my district for all the SLPs, and I always say to them, please do not make a schedule thinking you're going to have the same schedule all year long. Like, it's like, I love when a new SLP comes to me like, oh my gosh, another kid came in. I'm like, that's going to happen all year. Don't worry about it. But it's so funny when you feel like, all right, I finally got the schedule in place. I got all this ready to go. I'm ready to start my week, because we have to create our own schedule, right? It's not like given to us like it is for teachers. And then all of a sudden a new kid comes into the school, or, a kid gets switched to another classroom or has this, new schedule that they have to adhere to. It happens all the time. So I always tell like new clinicians, just don't focus on a weekly schedule. So again, I think a lot of this stuff is funny. Not sure if you guys are thinking it's funny, but hopefully it just gives you some insight into the world that we deal with on a regular basis. My gosh, this next one is funny. I love it when my kids who have a scheduled time to see me on a regular basis think that every time they come, they should automatically earn something for winning the game that we are playing, which is already fun in and of itself. But that actually happens quite often. Even like my third, fourth, and fifth graders will be like, oh, where's my sticker? Where's this? I'm like, you don't need that. We are here to learn, and you will go back and it will be fun. Obviously I'll have incentives, especially for my little guys, but as they get older, they need to learn that I am just another subject for them. I would love to know at this point, do you know anyone who gets speech therapy or who is in education, and do they have any fun stories that you've heard them tell you? Please comment below. And if you are listening or watching this right now and you are an educator, or even better, if you're a speech and language pathologist, I would love to know. Comment below and let us know. All right, everyone, this next one is pretty special. I'm not sure if you knew this, but did you know that bubbles are magical? Well, if you work in a preschool, you absolutely know that bubbles are magical. It is pretty much a required office or supply or material, job material that you have to have on hand as a speech and language pathologist. And this meme is not wrong. When you go into a preschool classroom, you better keep hold of those bubbles, because trying to maintain control of them once the kids know that you have them is impossible. Even I do testing over the summer, and when we have kids that are too shy or they don't want to open up, or the parents are worried that they're not going to be able to, perform for us, The first thing that the occupational therapist I work with and I do is we pull out those bubbles, and it is like a magical shift happens with these kids, and they just love being a part of the session. So just something to note if you happen to be a parent of young children or a grandparent with young grandchildren and you want to get them talking, those bubbles are magic. Because bubbles are so special, we had to go ahead and find 2 memes that speak to how amazing bubbles are. And this next one does not disappoint. It is absolutely super powerful to have those bubbles, right? And I love using them as a reinforcer, meaning I want kids to in some way request them, and then I will blow them. I do not hand the kid the thing so that they can blow it themselves. And it's not that I don't want them to do that, but my goal is to get them to talk and communicate with me, not necessarily to teach them how to do those other things independently. That's what the OT will do, and I'll let her do that on another day. But this is what I'm trying to do. But no matter how hard you try, there will always be that child that looks at you like you're crazy, even when you've tried everything in your box of tricks to get them to communicate with you. I will have all the toys, all the gadgets, all the incentives. We even have like edible reinforcers that we use in the schools. So that could be, like M&Ms or we got some cool stuff that we try to use. And there are some kids who will not budge for us. And that's kind of where we're like, okay, now what? It happens and we work through it. And that's one of the best things about having a collaborative model in a lot of what we do with kids is that, I can tag team with the psychologist that I work with or the OT or the teacher, and we together can come up with a plan that will help the children thrive. That is a huge part about what I love about my job as a school-based SLP. If you are an SLP watching this, you completely get it. And probably if you are any therapist as well as a psychologist. A ceiling is when we are testing a student, we have specific tests that have basals and ceilings. So the basal means like you have to get a certain amount right for it to count as like your starting point of your test. And then your ceiling is the kid gets like, let's say 5 wrong in a row, and then you stop testing. So, the test might be set up to be for kids anywhere between ages, let's say 5 and 12 or 5 and 18. But you continue on until the kid stops, and then you use that score that you collect to then determine the standard score. That was like your quick, summary of what we do. Anyway, the best and worst part about this is you could be sitting there testing a kid and they're like, okay, they got one wrong. Okay, they got another one wrong. And then they get to like the 5th one, and then all of a sudden they get it right. So you have to start over again. Okay, wrong, right. Wrong, right. And this, when you have been testing a kid for 45 minutes and you're like, oh my God, please just like, it's not going to change the score, but they all of a sudden get one right, especially when it's like those multiple choice tests where you're like, I'm pretty sure you guessed. This is how we feel in those moments. So, for those of you that are not SLPs, just welcome to our world, because this is what we deal with. This next one, I will say, is something that I notice a lot, not necessarily when I'm out in a public place, but more so at school when I'm listening to like other teachers, especially the classroom teachers who have to speak, amplify their voice across an entire classroom. When I start to hear like hoarseness in their voice or that they're straining their voice, I'm automatically like, oh my gosh, you need to do this, so you don't lose your voice. And in my career, I have been a speech and language pathologist for 18 years now. 18 or 19 years. Oh my God, I don't know. Anyway, I have only lost my voice 3 times in my entire career. Where I've like literally had 24 hours where I couldn't even try to talk because nothing would come out. It is the hardest thing ever. And to think that there are teachers that lose their voice, and I mean, you can't work in our field in education if you don't have a voice. It's impossible. I will say, I even remember the last time it happened, I had a text-to-speech app on my phone because my son would talk to me and I had to answer him using that, and he started to cry and said, "Mommy, you don't sound the same. Like, I don't like this. You sound scary." I mean, it was like a robotic voice, but I was so sad. And yeah, I'm very careful with my voice because I never want to lose my voice again. Knock on wood. Please let it not happen. And I, of course, had to save the best for last. If you are in special education, you have to agree that the feeling you get when the last IEP of the year is done is incredible. It is something that I don't experience because I work 12 months of the year. I do IEPs all summer long. I'm testing all summer long, but I fully value the changeover between the end of a school year and the summer. So I know that we all can appreciate how amazing it is to end the year, get your rest, take a break, have a change in your work schedule for a bit, and then start the new year fresh and ready to really tackle all the things you need to tackle and do your best for all of those kids that you serve. To anybody in education, especially those who are enjoying this summer off, I hope you are having a fabulous summer, that you are resting, relaxing, and recuperating, because you are so needed right now, and we are so grateful to have you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's edition of Walk With Us was a little bit different and unique. This was a pop-up class. We will be back to our regularly scheduled classes on Friday. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you for Freebie Friday this week. Thank you, and have a wonderful Tuesday.